Welcome to Mimir, the podcast for ambitious entrepreneurs who want to launch and grow a successful business from day one. I'm your host, Maddie Kelly, and each week I sit down with founders who have been there, done that. We dive into the mindset, strategies, and practical tools you need to turn your vision into a reality. So let's get to work. Hey guys, welcome back to Mimir. We all know how important early marketing efforts are in starting a business. So most founders spend months trying to figure out how to get press. But when Liv Dellanno stumbled into PR, it wasn't part of a polished business plan. It was a gut feeling, a TikTok following, and a Google search. Liv is the founder of Mystik PR, a modern press agency that works with emerging brands to land meaningful and measurable media coverage. In this episode, we talk about how she built a service-based business from the ground up, navigating rejection, trusting her instincts, and staying human in a world that rewards polish over personality. We also unpack what PR actually is, when brands are ready for it, and why the difference between visibility and traction matters more than people realize. In this episode, we talk about what founders need in place before they invest in press, the truth about rejection, client fit, and founder gut checks, and why putting yourself out there again and again is the real growth engine. Whether you're a founder wondering when to invest in PR, a creative building a service-based business, or just navigating the highs and lows of going out on your own, this one's for you. If you've ever felt like you're making it up as you go, Liv and I assure you, you are not alone. And success rarely happens all at once, but Liv and I align on the fact that if you stay in motion, stay curious, and keep talking to people, good things start to happen.
Thank you so much for having me on. Also, I was so excited to just connect with you in general, but super stoked to do this.
No, I'm super pumped to have you. I'm honestly every time I have somebody on the podcast, I'm like, you're really doing me a favor. So truly grateful to have you here.
Oh my God, of course.
Okay, well, I think we should kind of just start with a little bit of background on your journey. How did you start Mystik PR? How did you become a founder, an entrepreneur, and start working with other entrepreneurs?
Yeah, totally. So I like to joke that Mystik is a pandemic baby. Mm-hmm. It was really founded during the pandemic. So prior to starting Mystik, I was actually working at a prosthetic and orthotic company here in Chicago. It was a very very unexpected role. And I kind of fell into that after moving here. I had never been to Chicago before. I didn't have a job. I was right out of college. My then girlfriend, now fiance, into
Congratulations.
Thank you. She got into the Art Institute for a master's program, and she's a year ahead of me. So when I was in my senior year, she was a year out. She took a year off to apply for grad school, and then she got into the Art Institute, and it's I'm moving to Chicago. Do you want to come with me? And I was like, absolutely. So I had, again, never been to Chicago before until I moved here.
And dreams.
Hopes and dreams. I was in charge of finding our apartment. It was kind of like throwing a dart at a dartboard and being like, that sounds good. Yeah. So moved here in 2019 and started temping. And then that's how I ended up working at the orthotic and prosthetic clinic. And it was really interesting. I had a background in English and was just kind of, as you're in your early 20s, finding yourself, finding what you want to do and finding your career. And then COVID happened. So all of us were work from home. We were actually in the office for a while until we got sent home because we were essential medical professionals. So it was really interesting to navigate that whole world. So I was taking the trains when there was no one on them, which was very
spooky,
very kind of
surreal
end of days kind of vibes. Yeah, absolutely. So when I was home, I think a lot of people, I downloaded TikTok as a joke, hee hee ha ha, let's download this and scroll. And I think everyone else also got addicted to TikTok. And I had downloaded, Vine in the past and loved Vine. We used to be a proper society when we had Vine.
Yes. I boycotted TikTok for literally the longest time because I was such a Vine stan. Like, Vine was my lifeblood when I was in high school, and the best content was made on Vine. And so when TikTok came out, I was like, ugh, they just wish they could be Vine. And then now, like, we're all on the train. But for a while there, I was hardcore, like, no.
It was, I agree. It was, Vine was, I think, like OG YouTube when there was no production value. Everything was at home just for fun, just people creating out of just the desire to create. And there wasn't any monetization. There wasn't any affiliate play or anything like that. It was good old clean fun.
Yeah.
So started making videos on TikTok, and they started to actually get some views and get some traction. And all of a sudden I had a platform, and I was like, oh, this was very unexpected.
Really?
Yeah. So I started making a lot of videos, a lot of queer fashion videos, and ended up connecting with a queer artist who is based in LA. We became friends, and she started teaching me about the brand space, how to start partnering with brands as a creator, and then eventually was asking me to take a look at her artist bio because she knew I had an English background, and was like, wait a minute, would you take a look at this? And would you actually be down to start helping me pitch my music that's coming out to press? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. Let's do it. So I was working 4 10-hour days at my 9 to 5. And then on Fridays, I was working with her and pitching media. And so I remember the first full week I was working with her and making press kits and writing press releases. I just remember being so happy writing for a living and doing this. I was like, okay, this is a job. This feels like it's actually a career. I need to look this up. Something tells me this is a career. And I was literally have to Google, like, what is this job? Because this feels like a job. Turns out it was being a publicist. And I had also not watched Sex and the City at this time. So I had no concept of like Samantha Jones or anything in PR. So I started working with indie artists. I quit my 9 to 5 job, and I just took the plunge. And that was about 4 or 5 years ago. So
I have so many questions.
Yeah, absolutely.
First, tell me about your experience creating content, because I think like it's so fascinating to me how this happens, and especially like given the time frame for you to be able to like go from zero to making opportunities for yourself, I feel like is something that a lot of people aspire to do, but don't always like have the full know-how in how to do that. So I'm like, how many videos were you creating? Like, how much time did that take you? Like, if we're talking like first post to like meeting this artist, like how long was that? What was the follower count like? Like, tell me about that experience.
Totally. So I was posting nearly every day, just really quick videos. So, and it would take me about a minute and a half to make a video, and I would just put it up, and it would do well. So the videos that really, I think, gained a lot of my following was about one, rating Pride merch. That was kind of my bread and butter at first. And then also rating Pride collection shoes. I really loved like kind of like a what your shoe says about you, what your fashion says about you. And at the time, I think I was about 30 to 40,000 followers at that point, and got connected with my colleague, now friend. And things just kind of really took off from there.
Shit, dude, that's crazy. Like that just to me, like that just like doesn't happen to most people. Like I feel like you are an incredible experience, like to have that happen. I just feel like so many people out there like try to achieve that. But do you think, I mean, this is probably going to sound really cheesy, but like, do you think that it was because you were just like putting shit out there and like do you think it also because like you knew yourself really well and like you had a clear opinion on like a very specific thing that helped?
I think it was a few different factors. I think one, the pandemic and everyone being at home helped a lot. And everyone was just on their phones constantly because we had a surplus of time. And I think that I also wasn't perceiving other people interacting with my content as like real people. They were just kind of like little like robots in my phone. And I was like, oh, this is just like something I'm doing for me. And I also had no solid goal, like, oh, I want this video to perform. I want this to go viral. It was just, I just want to make a silly little video. And if someone interacts with that and it makes them laugh, awesome. But I'm just doing this mostly for like my own enjoyment and just having fun creating.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that makes sense. So then when all of this happened and you started to realize that like PR was a job, when did you like quit your job? Like, were you getting paid at this point, or were you not getting paid and you were just like, again, like hopes and dreams will get me to where I need to go?
Yeah, so I was getting paid. So I was obviously getting paid for my 9 to 5, and then I was doing hourly work for PR. And my dad is an entrepreneur, and I was kind of prepped for that my whole life. He would always ask me and my brother, well, do you want to be part of someone else's plan or part of your own plan? And so he's like, there is a correct answer. And so we'd have to be like, part of our own plan. He's like, yes, correct. So after I think about 3 to 4 months of kind of developing a plan of like, okay, what's my exit strategy here? Can I, start kind of prepping to get more clients to onboard, because I can't make rent with just one client doing part-time hourly work. So it was, there was some strategy there, and it was also a lot of, okay, I'm just going to have to send this and I just need to take a leap of faith. I was also at the end of when I was working at the clinic, I was just not really happy. I just knew that there was a lot of skills that I had that I could take professionally that I was just not utilizing in this role. There was also no real progression into a space that I really wanted to be in. And I was very lucky to work with some really awesome people. I'm actually still really good friends with a lot of them today. And I am the big believer in, no matter what the job is, you can take something from that and carry it with you long after. Like I learned so many valuable lessons there and so many valuable experiences.
Yeah, 100%. Like just because 100%, just because like it wasn't your passion doesn't mean that it's not a valuable experience. Like you said, you're always going to learn something from that. But it's interesting. Like I think about other aspiring entrepreneurs who are in this like transition phase between they have a business and they have a direction that they want to go, but they're kind of like they're still like in their 9 to 5, and like that transition spot is real. And I think to your point, it you can feel it when you aren't happy at your current like full-time role and there's like not a lot of space for growth that's in line with your like where your heart is telling you to go. And then like, I think there's I always find it to be very challenging when like an entrepreneur like full-time just cold turkey quits their 9 to 5 and then like goes all in on their business without it generating any revenue. So like for you, I think it made a lot of sense because you had a plan like in motion. I assume like you had like a business plan. Like did your dad help you with that?
Absolutely. My dad has been such a great resource and asset during my entrepreneurial journey. I would ask him for advice on like, okay, like how do I kind of come up with a strategy? What were things that helped you? And so my dad, thankfully, one is he's got so many years of knowledge that he's been able to pass down for me or to me. And he also was sharing that like, okay, you're doing this in your 20s. When I was going through this, I was in my 30s and I had 2 kids. So like, which is a lot more pressure. So whenever I'd be like, oh, this is like a lot of pressure and stuff, he would be like, okay, I get that, but also try doing this with 2 kids, which I cannot fathom. So good on you, Dad, for making it work. But I think that's the biggest thing is constantly staying in motion and keeping things moving. If you stop, like, that's when you're going to feel the stress and the pressure. And it's a very freeing feeling to know that you're in charge of your destiny and you're the one who's making it rain for yourself. But it also can feel stressful if you just sit with that for a minute and you're like, well, okay, I have X amount of clients and maybe this client is pausing, so my revenue is changing. But at the end of the day, you are in charge of reaching out to potential clients, to network. There's always something that you can be doing.
Yeah, you're right. It's like, there is pressure, but at the same time, you have all the tools and all the power to do your best to make sure that like you stay afloat and that the inevitable or the worst case scenario doesn't happen in that.
Totally. And I think it's like thinking about what is the worst case scenario for anything. So I think a lot of people for content creation too, they're like, well, I'm scared to put myself out there because I'm scared of being perceived or rejected. And you have to get very comfortable with rejection when you're an entrepreneur. You have to be very comfortable with putting yourself out there. And I think one of the biggest things is just one, being comfortable in your own skin, getting comfortable with rejection, and just also thinking, okay, like, what's the worst that happens if they say no? If they say no, that's okay. And then you move on.
Yeah, that's such a great point. And I'm curious to like dig a little bit deeper into that and like your experience being a founder, because I think there's so many interesting parallels also to like content creation and entrepreneurialism. Like while you're an entrepreneur as a content creator, there's, a million niches within that we could talk about, like how people actually run their business, but that's not the point. Like I think for you to start that way and then now to like have a business that's media related and like requires companies to put themselves out there in some way, shape, or form, like there's some parallels there. And I think fear of rejection and fear of failure is huge for all founders. It's like a common thread and a common theme. And like, I think there's something to be said for getting like a thicker skin for sure, because it doesn't matter what business you're in, you're either going to be rejected by customers or by investors or by clients. Like it will happen, and which is fine, because like your product isn't for everybody. And
exactly.
I'm sure that you don't serve everybody. Like I'm sure you have a particular clientele that you like to work with and that you feel like you serve best.
Yes, it's actually on my website. It says you're not for everyone, and that's okay. And because we're not for everybody. And I think that there's also in social media too, content creation, there's this like pressure to be liked by everybody, which I don't know where that really came from or who started that, but it's like trying to be palatable for everybody. But in the end, that's just not authentic. And it's like, I don't know, it's like motel art. It's supposed to be non-threatening and not anything special. It's just supposed to be like palatable for everybody. But what's the point of trying to please everybody? Like if you're not happy with yourself or proud of what you're putting out there.
100%. Okay, I want to pivot a little bit and I want to talk about the differences between marketing and PR and like what PR actually is and what like you do to help business owners. Because I think there's a fundamental misunderstanding that like even before I got in marketing, there's so much to it that like is weirdly segmented that you just kind of lump together as like one big bucket. And I think probably a lot of early stage founders think like, oh, I need to do marketing, but they don't actually know what that means. And like, they don't know when to invest in PR and for what reason. So I'd love for you to sort of like demystify that.
For sure. Marketing is kind of this giant umbrella and there's so many different things that fall underneath it. And PR is one of them. So is social media. And I think a lot of the times social media and PR can kind of get lumped together. People being like, oh, do you do both? But there's social media managers, there's paid social opportunities. There's people that specialize in running paid ads. And then PR at the very core of it is media relations. So there's many different flavors of PR, like crisis comms, founder PR, product PR, and I specialize in affiliate PR. So merging affiliate marketing with the traditional PR of, reaching out to editors and writers and pitching them the brands that I represent, and ultimately reaching out to them to share the brand, share the story, and try to get product in their hands. So they're going to be able to try this and then they'll be able to write from a first person perspective of, okay, I tried this product. And I can, maybe this is aligned for a certain piece. I also like to think of editors as like the original influencers because they are the ones that are getting all these products. They're the ones that are trying it. It's really interesting to also see influencers getting in the space of press and how now there's press events and there's influencer events. And it's really interesting to see the modern digital space evolve, especially with how print is kind of, we're phasing out of print. We're focusing in more of a digital market. But that is a very interesting conversation to have with press is their experiences with influencers, also brands getting involved in influencers. It's a constantly evolving space.
Yeah, 100%. And I think this is also like why it's so confusing for somebody who's starting a business to be like, I don't know what I need and I don't know when I would need it. So like if you were, if somebody was to come to you today that was like an early stage entrepreneur, they have a product, they're looking, they're in like a growth phase, like what would you tell them that they should be investing in and focusing on?
I think the biggest things that you need to consider as a brand before investing in PR is, do you have a strong brand identity? Do you have a strong website? If you're D2C product based, do you have strong inventory? Sampling is so critical for press. And if you're, just starting out, your inventory is pretty lean. It can actually hurt you if you're like, okay, well, I can't send product to this editor. And let's say they do include it in a roundup and your inventory gets wiped out like that. And it takes a long time to restock. That's also going to be hurting you. When it comes to product inventory, press like to see healthy stock to make sure, okay, if we include this in a roundup, especially if there's an affiliate play here, we can be earning off of this and it's not going to be sold out in like 5 minutes, right?
Okay. So then I guess what would you say a good PR campaign would look like if you're doing it for one product? Would it be highly specific and targeted? So you're picking 3 platforms that really align with whoever the target audience is for this product? Or is it more of casting a wider net and testing a bunch of different things and kind of seeing what works?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think the biggest thing that Mystik does that I'm really proud of as an agency is that we're constantly pivoting and we're constantly shifting because media is always on the move. It's always shifting, right? So coming up with new angles, finding new editors who are writing about the products, writing about competitors. Competitor audits are very, very much a part of my day-to-day to see, okay, these are, the categories that we're in. Here's a way that we can maybe introduce this to a new market. Obviously, working with the brands to see where their target market is. Affiliates also great because we can see when there is an inclusion, where their product and their brand is really resonating within those publications. So, for example, if they're gotten to, women's health, let's say Oprah Magazine and Pop Sugar, women's health, okay, it hasn't really driven a lot of conversion, but Pop Sugar has driven a ton of traffic and a ton of revenue. We could say, okay, we can now divert our attention to more things that are aligned within the Pop Sugar space and that are other similar publications.
I mean, this is genuinely my favorite thing about marketing in general is this ability to pivot and ability to consistently refine and use data to then determine your strategy in such a quick manner. It's also probably why I love small businesses and startups, because I think that whole operation is run that way, where you're this is what I'm seeing and this is how I'm going to continue to refine to ensure continued success. It's just all the time, just small tweaks until it gets to this functioning engine that's running and generating leads and conversions behind the scenes. And it's just so fun. I have never done a job quite like that before, where it's so easy to be nimble and quick and to just make decisions based off of that.
Totally. And I think that PR has gotten kind of a bad rep from a long time for not having a clear ROI from traditional press of we were featured in X, Y, and Z publications. What are we seeing from that as far as tracking direct sales? So having a way to quantify it and have numbers of okay, well, this was the sale, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, right? That's the biggest sales of the year for most brands. Yeah. Having clear data of where you're getting featured, how many sales are getting driven. It also is helping strategy long term. Another thing that I love is editor feedback from whenever they're testing brands. I just think it's really great market research to share with brands. So I always share any feedback with brands of hey, I'm always asking editors, good, bad, and different. What do you think about this product? It genuinely is super helpful for brands, especially emerging brands that are still in product development.
Yeah. And I mean, that is how, my least favorite thing in marketing is brand awareness, because it's inherently intrackable and exceedingly frustrating as a result. Whereas now with the sort of shift to digital for PR, it's a lot easier to track, which makes it way more fun. And I always think about it's kind of funny, marketing is kind of like a sales job where you get that dopamine hit every time you get a sale as a result of whatever marketing work you do. And so it's funny, I think there's like a little bit of adrenaline in it for me.
Oh, 100%. Whenever there's a sale, like for example, for Memorial Day, I'm constantly refreshing, just like seeing those numbers go up and the clicks go up. And I'm like, oh, nice. It's awesome. But there is definitely a misconception of PR being sales or brands putting pressure on PR to be responsible for X amount of sales. They support sales 100%, but it's definitely, I think, a client education point of saying, okay, we're here to support sales and we can definitely share insight from sales. We are not sales teams. Like, we are here to get your products and your brands featured in the most aligned way and to share your story.
Yeah, but because of that, like, it's not, would you say that, like, because I think, like, from playing devil's advocate here, if you're like, okay, if you're supporting sales and you're putting it out in an audience that's supposed to be aligned with what we're buying, but it's not hitting, then, like, there's, I think, a lot of finger pointing that happens, you know? And it's like, how do you educate people to say, like, this is truly what PR does as a function? And you can see the benefits from that. Like, you see why you need to invest in it. It is a need. It's not like a want. But it's, to your point, like, they're very different functions.
Right. I think that at the end of the day, as much as we can say, you know, like, we can drive people to the source. It's like, you can lead a horse to water, can't make it drink. There are ways to help support with specifically conversion. I think that's the biggest kind of pain point is, okay, we're seeing a lot of clicks. We're not seeing a lot of conversion. There are, again, in the affiliate space, there are partners that can help with conversion by joining affiliate programs. Plugins like Checkmate, for example, they are able to actually send unique codes to shoppers and it's basically retargeting. And the codes are only live for 24 hours. They only have a short window to use those, and they're not leakable because they're unique to that specific user. And again, they go down after 24 hours. So there's a lot of really cool partners in the space. That is another part of what I love to do. One, I just love connecting with people. So connecting with new partners, learning about more like e-commerce solutions is another favorite part of my job, and just love connecting cool partners that can help support brands in their goals and just saying, oh, hey, maybe this would be aligned. It also, I think, is great to have a cost per acquisition model versus like a flat fee of like, okay, now you're going to have to invest, you know, an additional X amount of dollars into this. Maybe you'll see a return. Maybe you don't. You're actually only paying out for the things that are converting, which you're like, okay, well, that's what we want. We want to be generating revenue, right?
Yeah, 100%. And I think that's like, I mean, I think that's just an integrity thing. I think historically you've kind of like paid a person just like sort of a lump sum to put your business like out into the wild. I also just think like something that I learned in marketing that's kind of pulled the curtain back, so to speak, is that like everything is paid for. Literally every single thing is paid for. Like, organic content is rare nowadays.
Totally. And I think that the shift from print to digital has changed the game so much. There's so many buy-ins that you can do. I think the buy-in for a BuzzFeed listicle is, you know, in the thousands. It's and there's no clear ROI. So another reason why affiliate's so great, Mystik only does organic media and only earned media. So everything is just generated organically through editors saying, okay, this is aligned with this brand and this piece. And they're also, if you go to any, I can guarantee almost every single roundup or any single product review, there's going to be a little disclaimer saying, hey, we might be earning affiliate commissions off of this. So if you're saying, oh, well, like, how are they making money off of that? That is how they're making money off of that.
Yeah. Oh, it's crazy. I never understood how much a lot of this stuff costs, but like, to get an ad, for example, in a magazine is at least $2,000.
Oh my God. And that's on the low end too. And like for, let's say, any sort of like seal of like best of Good Housekeeping or something like that, there's also licensing fees for that. So if you want to have that on your product or on your website, that's an additional licensing fee. So I think it's definitely, it's a very eye-opening experience being in marketing and being in the digital media space of seeing like all of the dollars that are behind everything. So even when I'm looking at like a print ad or something, I'm like, all right, wondering what happened here. Like, Yeah. There's certain, especially for like, there's certain brands where it's like, okay, like, how much do we pay for this? Be real. Like, let's be real here.
Yeah. And like, for those listening, there is a way to do the math where you can kind of try to project like ROI based off of these kinds of things. And like, you know, depending on what kind of space you're in, like some of these things come with guarantees for like how much of return you'll see out of this in terms of humans and eyeballs and interaction and engagement and things like that. So like there is a way to math success, but to some degree, like until you try and get data, it's unlikely that these numbers will be real and meaningful until you have like some sort of reference points to look back from and then like project from there.
Totally.
That's a whole other situation. I'm also curious to know about like your founder journey, sort of like what has been some of the most surprising or challenging things about building a service-based business, especially as a first-time founder?
Absolutely. I think that the biggest challenge is the initial kind of leap of faith and the unknown, where you're just like, you know, let's say you don't have any clients and you're just starting out and you're putting yourself out there continuously. And it can definitely wear you down of getting rejection of like, no. But the thing that I think was the most helpful during that process, because it gets dark, you guys. It gets you're in the trenches. There are some tough times where you are like, am I making a big mistake? Should I just get a 9-to-5 and give up on this because this is just like not working? You start like bargaining. You basically go through the stages of grief.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing is that every no that you get is one closer to a yes. So it kind of keeps you going through the no's and the difficulties. And it's definitely been something that I don't think any founder goes through their founder journey alone. I'm so incredibly fortunate, one, to have a parent who was a founder and has navigated extremely tumultuous financial times, like the 2008 housing crisis. I'm like, me and my brother were playing Wii and we had no idea what was happening. And meanwhile, my parents are like, oh, what's happening? Like, this is so uncertain. And my dad's running a business and putting 2 kids through school. And my partner has been such a huge support during this process. She actually is also a entrepreneur and owns her own company. So it's been pretty cool to have another entrepreneur.
You're in a pretty fortunate position, I think, to have like a built-in support system. I talk to so many founders who have no support system and are looking for something like externally. And I mean, consistently, I have not talked to one founder that has not said that the process is lonely. It's hard, and everyone needs a support system, whether that's like a group that you find externally or like I also feel like, especially in the early stages, I hear so often that who you surround yourself with really, really matters, especially at the beginning, because most people don't understand exactly what you were talking about, where it's like everything seems like a no. And so then you start to be like, is it a no? Is it really a no? And then like those who don't understand what you're going through will say, obviously it's a no. But entrepreneurs will tell you to keep going. And so to have like the right support system around you during those fragile times is like incredibly important to getting to the next step. And like, I mean, I'm incredibly passionate about that because it's the reason I started my podcast. Is I'm like, there's so many people out there with talent and amazing ideas that fail because they don't have the support that they need to keep going.
Totally. It can feel so isolating too, especially if you're a service-based provider and you're a solopreneur and you don't have a co-founder, you don't have a partner in this, and you just it can be really dark, and you start to question like, am I cut out for this? Should I be doing this? But I swear, and I have talked to so many different founders that have shared the same exact story. Every time you are about to throw in the towel, something happens. Like, it's like, oh, okay, I'm going to just pack it all up, this, call it a day. Like maybe this is just like not in the cards, maybe in this lifetime. Something happens where you keep going. I don't know what it is, but there's something out there that it just keeps you going. And I think if I could give just one piece of advice to anyone listening out there that's like, I don't know what to do, like, how do I kind of like find this, and what has been the biggest game changer in my personal experience, is being absolutely fearless with reaching out to people and setting up meetings. I would just reach out to people. I really thought that like what they were doing was really cool. I'm like, hey, do you want to grab a virtual coffee? Do you want to chat? I just want to connect with them, just human to human. I'm not looking for anything, just like a connection. And that was a complete game changer. Like I cannot express how valuable just connecting with other people in like such a genuine way. And also like not in like a LinkedIn, like reaching out of like, hello, I see your website and blah, 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 blah. Like get rid of the corporate jargon. Yeah. Get rid of all of the like HR BS that has been conditioned into us, and just be a human being and reach out to people. Like I'm telling you, it's game changing.
100%. The whole game of being a founder, I'm learning, is like just talk. You just talk to people all the time, and you talk to people about what you're building, and you ask questions, and you're like genuinely curious. And I think a lot of people are willing to share 15 minutes of their time. Like that's not that big of a deal to them. And for me, that changed everything. Like the networking and like I hate to say networking, but like that is what it is. And like the reaching out and like connecting with people and just learning from others and sharing your experience and like taking advice is like unmatched. It's really, I think, the best thing that you can do. And it's funny, I think the other reason I'm obsessed with entrepreneurialism is it to me is such a reflection of the universe. Like when it's one of those moments where you really have to trust yourself, because as much as other people can give you advice, at the end of the day, like you have to trust yourself to push forward towards the path that you feel is the best for you. And it's so much of trust, and it's so much of faith, and it's so much of coincidences and moments where like it's luck, and like there's so much uncertainty and there's so much unknown, and you're operating so much in the dark, and the only thing that you have to go off of is like your mission and your brain and your willpower. It's weird, but it's super fun and exciting.
It's like the exact opposite of a corporate ladder where they're like, okay, you must be here 2 years or whatever and go through all of these hoops to achieve a promotion or any sort of raise or anything like that. Like you truly feel like you are in the dark, like you are in the abyss, and maybe you're like the little anglerfish that has a little light. You're like, I can see 2 feet ahead of me, maybe. And that is it. Like, I will also say something that is I think a founder and entrepreneur thing. A skill that's super valuable is listening to your gut. Your gut does not lie to you. And if you can learn to listen to it, it is not wrong. If you're in a potential client meeting, every single time walking in there, like, I'm independently wealthy and I do not need this. Like one that's going to completely like change the entire energy of the call. And it's also, they're checking you out to see if you're a fit. You're also checking them out to see if they're a fit. It's okay. 100%. And it's okay if it's not a fit. I've been in meetings where it's not been a fit, and for, multiple different reasons, and that's okay. And whenever that happens, I'm like, hey, doesn't seem like that's a fit, but I know X, Y, and Z who might be a good fit, or maybe going down this channel might be more aligned with what you're looking for. And I think that's really scary, is to admit that something might not be a good fit, or to opt out of something feels kind of like, I don't know. It's like a weird thing that I feel like it's
like your income and you're saying no to money. And that's terrifying. But like, I think it's a natural growing phase. Like even I experience this a lot, having to like vet guests. I get so many emails of people like wanting to be on the podcast, and only a certain % of those become like meetings that I'm vetting. And I always position it as like, I want to make sure that this is a good fit for both of us. 'Cause like I've been on podcast meet and greets where I'm like, I don't think I'm the right person for this interview. I've not yet had somebody say that to me, and I'm honestly kind of looking forward to the day when somebody's like, you know what, this isn't a good fit for me, because I think that would just be like a one-time situation that's just never happened. That'd be kind of like, oh, that happened today, finally. But like, it's a lot of at the beginning, you're like, I just need like people. I need people to buy my product. I don't give a shit who is buying our product, as long as like it's floating me to get to the next stage. And then you get to the next stage and you start to refine, and like I think it's just honestly a good sign when you're starting to say no more than you do say yes, because like it means that you have proven your value and you are now exercising that value to take you to the next level. So like you'll continue to refine and refine and refine until like you really know who you work with well, and then you can sort of like start that flywheel and singing, you know.
It's totally a learning process, especially of like, okay, who do I want to work with? And then when you work with maybe not aligned clients, I'm like, oh, okay, not doing that again. Like it's especially hard. People pleasers, if you're out there.
Oh,
I was
girl,
once
tell
a
me
people
about it.
pleaser.
I'm a
recovering.
people pleaser.
Okay.
Recovering.
Like
Yes.
we're recovering.
Truly
And I think, yeah, when you're, you get the struggle. It's a process of clients being like, can you do this? And even if it's out of scope, you're like, absolutely. You're paying, you're saying absolutely.
Of course.
And of course, absolutely. You're giving me money to do something that, like,
I'm
absolutely.
I
will go to the moon and I will leave this galaxy, Milky Way,
Truly.
bye-bye. I will do this for you. Don't worry. And I think that it's like, once you have experienced the burnout of saying yes to everything and being like a people pleaser, you're like, wow, okay, we cannot proceed. This is not. And that's when the gut check of, okay, is this client overstepping? And there's also a lot of education, right? Because a lot of times brands that haven't worked with an agency, or they haven't worked with PR or a service agency, they don't know what's reasonable or what's not reasonable. And it's very clear when there's clients that are blatantly overstepping versus they just don't know. And it's a great opportunity to educate people of like, oh, hey, like just wanted to reiterate, scope. If you want to, add scope, that's a conversation we can, have compensation. But it's so hard as a people pleaser to start a business and try to push back. But it's such a skill that is so worth it to push back. It's so worth it. It's so worth it.
It's also, I've noticed too, the worst part about people pleasing is that you start to lose the ability to trust yourself, because you've overridden that like so many times. Like the whole, like people pleasing in and of itself is overriding your intuition telling you no to accommodate others. So like over time, it's not just about like you're doing more work than you're getting compensated for. Like the worst part about that long term is that you are losing the ability to listen to yourself. And that takes so much more time to redevelop. And like you're losing your own sense of trust through that with yourself, which like as a founder and an entrepreneur, you are the center of everything. If you cannot trust yourself, it is highly likely that you're going to make big mistakes. Because like you knew that it wasn't going to go well and you did it anyway because you can't hear your own intuition and your like gut telling you that something isn't going to work, because you've overridden it so many times that voice now becomes like so quiet. And it takes so much time and effort to redevelop that sense of trust after years of overriding that. It's just like to me, it's such like a bigger issue. And I completely agree. It's like one of the best things that you can do for yourself.
I think it's also hard as a female founder, like to have it's the people pleasing is disproportionately affecting female founders of like not being taught to not trust your own voice, right? And to make space for everyone else and make yourself smaller to make other people more comfortable. But when you actually are experiencing the plights of people pleasing, then you're like, wait a minute, this is hurting everybody at the end of the day. So people please your way out of people pleasing by being like, this hurts everybody. So life hack, everyone. You're welcome. Girl math your way out of this. You're welcome.
Okay. Last question before we wrap up. I'm curious. How has like your experience in PR changed how you see like Mystik PR's visibility out in the world? Like, what are you learning from your clients that you're like applying to yourself?
That's a great question. I think that the opportunities that are kind of out there are becoming more visible, if that makes sense. So when I'm, reaching out on behalf of clients, I'm now getting into these spaces where there's people like yourself that are like, oh, hey, like I'm looking to chat with founders. And also just, I think in general, finding really cool opportunities to connect people. I think that's one of my favorite things about being a founder is meeting other cool founders and being like, oh, you need to meet this person and this person needs to meet this person. Maybe there's a collaboration in there. Who knows?
Yes.
It's super interesting. And I think it's also like after growing up watching like The Devil Wears Prada and the 2000s rom-com cinematic universe that was obsessed with media. Unmatched. And any girly who was in media and was raised on the 2000s media focused rom-coms, I see you, I hear you, I am you. And I love this for you. I'm so happy that you have hopefully not followed in Andy Sachs's footsteps and you're not working at like a horrible.
I'm sorry. But also like quick interjection. The Devil Wears Prada was literally my favorite movie as a kid. I wanted to be Andy so bad. But the ending would always piss me off. I was so upset about the ending. Like, I don't know if you feel this way, but I think she made a huge mistake. This man did not appreciate her growth and, like, did nothing but belittle her and, like, make her feel bad for her success. I think he was jealous of her this whole time. And then, like, she had this insane opportunity. And, like, while I understand, I think it was, like, a soul thing for her. She thought that, like, this life was sucking the life out of her. But I'm like, she could have kept that experience and gone to do, like, so much bigger and better things. But I think this man made her feel like she needed to, like, come back down to his level and, like, work for these small, like, journalistic publications. I was so mad about it.
Okay, justice for Andy Sachs, because I think she had the worst circle of friends around her
Yes!
that were reaping the benefits of her job, but then simultaneously trying to sabotage her when her phone is ringing, and she's literally giving them like a Mason Pearson brush and like a Marc Jacobs bag. Yes. They're like, hee, isn't this so funny to grab your phone and try to ruin your career or like at least cause you insane duress, which you're already under enough. Yeah. Her boyfriend, I will say though, I do think The Devil Wears Prada and Andy Sachs's whole situation is a very good representation of a toxic agency environment of like making insane demands, just not like putting insane pressure on situations that are undue. I will say, Meryl Streep, I think you were so incredible for what you did, and you will always be Miranda Priestley to me, and I love you so much for that.
Yeah.
But there are definitely, I think there's such a generational divide between the PR spaces that like there's toxic agency culture and there's toxic agency culture everywhere. It's not unique to PR, but it's definitely like, let's just put a bunch of pressure on these young, like new, fresh out of college girls that are just straight up trying their best and make them feel like this is life or death. It is at the end of the day, PR, not ER, everyone. It is okay. It is okay.
I actually saw an interview the other day on the Skinny Confidential podcast that they did with somebody who worked at Vogue, like under Anna Wintour, and they talked about this exact thing where she was like, how accurate was the portrayal from The Devil Wears Prada? And she was like, everything was 100% accurate. She was like, there was some hazing from the other girls that worked in the office. She said, like, everything looked identical from the way that the office was set up, the way that meetings happened, the fashion, like, that was all accurate. But she said that the one thing that was not accurate was, like, she said that Anna was not someone who was, like, intentionally malicious. She was like, she kind of said that, like, Anna was, like, a girl's girl. But, which I thought was really interesting. So, like, fun fact for any other Devil Wears Prada fans.
Very interesting. Yeah, I did not know that she was apparently a girl's girl. And I'm still waiting for my invitation to the Met Gala. I think it got lost in the mail this year. So next year, girly, I'll send you my email. It's fine. You can send it to me. It's actually really funny because So one of the softwares that I use is to help, hunt down editors' emails. And you can, look up Vogue, and they have Anna Wintour's email in there. And every time I see it, I'm just like, what if you just called Taylor up?
Should I just?
I'm like, what? Like, I'm delusional. What if we just shot her a little note,
I've done crazier things.
Exactly. You know what? At the end of the day, shoot your shot, because the worst thing that can happen 99.9% of the time is people say no. And or nothing. They say no or nothing.
Yeah.
And I think you can survive that.
Yeah, 100%. Well, Liv, thank you so much. This has been so fun. I really enjoyed this conversation. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
That's a wrap on today's episode. If you found yourself nodding along or you had a good idea, please smash that 5-star button. You can find all the links to connect with Liv in the show notes. And if you want more founder wisdom, community, and behind the scenes, come hang out at measurable.ink. See you guys next week.